All right, but let's move on to this main card because I mean, there's these are all great fights. And first up is the bantamweight bout between Urijah Faber and Petr Yan. And Petr Yan is one of those guys, man, who has been on an absolute tear. I mean, most recently coming off of a win over Jimmy Rivera, where Rivera didn't look bad in that fight. I mean, I thought Rivera looked very good, but it was just like at the end of the rounds, Petr was clipping him and hurting him, and those kind of things turned the fight in Jan's favor. And Jan's footwork and his pressure and his boxing and his head movement are all just so crisp, and he's really solid in the grappling department as well. Before his fight with Rivera, he picked up a unanimous decision over John Dodson. And then before that, he fought Douglas Silva de Andrade and stopped him. But I think that was a corner stoppage. I don't know if they threw it in or if it was medical or what. But, he was beating up on Silva de Andrade. And he's one of the more, especially his boxing. I don't know if he's got quite what Cody Garbrandt has in terms of power, or maybe not quite in terms of like pure hand speed, but the way he mixes everything together and his scrambling and his pressure, he's looking like one of the top guys at 135 pounds. And for Urijah, he comes back, right, gets a win over Ricky Simone, and is now jumping up to fight, like I said, one of the top contenders in the division. And if Urijah can get past this guy, you're going to be talking about a title fight for him because, you got to consider that the UFC knows that Urijah Faber is a big draw, right? Like one of the biggest at 135 pounds. And if he can go in and upset Petr Yan, knowing that Urijah doesn't have as much time as some of these other guys, I think I hate to say this because like I love Aljamain Sterling and I'd really like to see him, get to challenge at some point. Since his loss to Marlon Moraes, he's really rebounded and been looking good. But if you're looking at the longevity for Urijah Faber, he has less time than Aljamain. So you've got less time to make that fight. And Urijah Faber, just to be honest, is probably a little bit more marketable than Aljamain right now. More popular, So if Urijah Faber goes in and gets this win, you might see him jump. He might not have to fight like a title contention fight. There might be real talks about him fighting Henry Cejudo for the bantamweight title. We'll see. Because the problem is I don't think he's going to be able to get past Petr Yan. When he came back and fought Ricky Simone, he looked great in that fight, man. Looked very good. Like he hit him with a huge right hand. But again, it's one of those situations like we were talking about when we opened up the show. It's one of those situations where you've got a really seasoned guy fighting a really young, promising contender, but you got the experience on him, right? You can kind of draw him into things, and when you can kind of get a feel for what he's doing maybe a little bit faster. And Urijah was able to capitalize on that. And not to downplay that win at all. Ricky Simone is fucking tough, man. I think he had that win. Who was it over? Merab Dvalishvili, where he like got him with a guillotine in the very last round or something like that. And it's not like that was an easy fight. And Urijah, he displayed that he has knockout power, right? But the problem is that I don't think that Petr Yan is going to get drawn into traps like that quite as easily. And I think he's going to be the one pushing the pace and putting Urijah on the defensive. And I think that Faber's going to need to look for a way to get this fight to the mat. But the problem is that Petr Yan is very good at getting back to his feet, and he's very good at scrambles, and he's also a pretty good wrestler. Petr Yan has it going on, man. He's got a full tool set. So I think what's going to be important for Urijah is early on in fights, one of the things that you'll see is Petr Yan can be a little bit overly aggressive. You'll see him overextend on things a little bit and reach for things. If Urijah can I think you're going to see Urijah backing up a lot in this fight. But if he can catch Petr Yan before he really starts getting in a rhythm, and if he can disrupt that, kind of break it up before Petr really starts pouring it on him, if he can catch him being overly aggressive, he might be able to land a takedown. But the important part of getting a takedown is he's going to have to be able to secure position and control Petr. Keep this fight on the mat as long as possible, because the more that it's on the feet, the more that I would assume it's going to benefit Petr. As far as official picks, though, I'm taking Petr Yan by unanimous decision. I think Urijah Faber's tough, and I think that he's going to, you got to remember fighting's a two-way street, right? Like offense and defense, and I think that, like, at this point in his career, Urijah Faber's seen a lot of things, but so I think he'll be able to defend himself. But I think that's kind of what you're going to see is Petr Yan getting offensive And Urijah is not probably going to get drawn into a straight-up war with him. He's probably just going to play the defensive a lot, and I think the fight will end up going the distance because of that. Not that Jan couldn't finish him and put it on him, or that, Faber couldn't take him down, secure position, get a submission. I mean, a lot of things could happen, right? But I would say the most likely is that Jan wins by unanimous decision in this one.